Good evening YouTube, Ian here from Coolice Charge Cases and Power Supplies. Hope you're all safe and well, and potentially if you're in the UK you're enjoying the darker nights coming in, and also the fact that it's potentially raining at the moment and quite windy. So winter is upon us in the UK, so sad times ahead for us. But if you're in a hotter climate of the world, well done. And do you have any free space, because we'd all like to move out there so we can enjoy our hobbies a bit more. But anyway, I have another charge case to show you. As you can see, it's an orange one this time. I did make reference to this one, I think, in the last Revolectrix PL8 DUO-Touch build. This is the second one, and this one's for Paul Steed. I need to email him, in fact, after this, and also say it's done. He can come and take it. There's a couple of final bits that I'm going to try and finish off, and in fact, the eagle-eared among you might hear the chiller for the laser running behind me, kind of thing, cooling the water around the laser tube. I need to create obviously a couple of legends for the connectors inside on the deck, and what else do I need to do? Oh yeah, and then I need to do another 3D printed part potentially for the storage door. I want to create some kind of holder, or not a holder, should I say, a handle, and a little bit more of that will become apparent in a minute. So without further ado, let's dive into this case. This is again a Nanook 940 in orange. These are very, very nice cases, admittedly. Although, having said that, I do quite like the Max line of cases I've been using as well. But you get, with the Nanooks, you get a lot more colour options, which is quite handy. And of course, the last one was graphite grey, and again, that's a very nice colour. It's, you know, something a little bit different to black, but it's quite dark and mysterious, for want of a better word, so that looks good. Definitely the orange is nice as well, especially with the black decks kind of thing. Black and orange do go quite well, so in this case the carbon fibre vinyl. So let's not beat around the bush. This one, the customer obviously requested that there's nothing on the outside of the case itself, so this one's quite watertight. The only thing there is, which I can probably show you underneath, is of course then the fixing points for the power supply underneath, which are M6 bolts. If need be, we could obviously really waterproof those by putting a sliver of silicone around it and then obviously screwing the screw back in, but it doesn't need to be that far. It's not going to be intended to be dropped in the water. So let's open the lid. Hopefully I've left it in the right place, and here we go. Right, and as you can see, we've got the lower deck. This one, in this instance, customer obviously wanted the bump controller to obviously protrude through the deck, so that was quite nice and simple. In retrospect of obviously shifting it into the upper deck on the previous build, it's just a cutout. And because now with these particular builds I've gone to the nylon 6 deck, instead of it being 10mm thick, the nylon panels are actually 11mm thick, so that's a good thing, especially when it comes to the bump, because of course it does protrude off the top of the charger quite a bit. And even with 11mm between, you know, the thickness of the deck between the top face of the bump and obviously the top face of the charger guts underneath, it still protrudes out the top. But that obviously doesn't hit anything, and because obviously the lid is recessed, and I'll show you why in a minute. Let's concentrate on the bottom. So again, obviously PL8 DUO-Touch. We've got the grills cut for the cooling fans at the back, and of course then there's the 3D printed ducts, and again, so the air comes out. And obviously I tried this earlier because while I was testing with a 6S LiPo on the charge ports on channel 1 and channel 2 respectively, one after the other, I storage charged the pack. Then of course then you can feel the warm air coming out of this one, because I used channel 1 to do the storage charge after I'd gone through a charge cycle, and that was great. So I'm pleased with that. It works, looked good, nice and neat and tidy. Cable chain of course then up into the upper deck. I'll come to that in a bit. Now ultimately everything needed to be sub flush pretty much with this deck, so twin USB charge port, and I've gone for obviously the QC3 with a PD charger in the middle on this one. The idea being the customer wants to use his Apple iPad in the lid, and originally I was going to try and put a charger in the lid itself, but the depth of the Nanook lids isn't that great. So while I could have messed around trying to get a charger in there, and potentially I've left the ability to do so later down the line if need be, I just went with a wire. So I've got the customer, which is in his storage compartment, and I can use, obviously I've had to remount the lid, or should I say the storage lid, to obviously cut this opening, which is what I'm going to elaborate on in a minute. And then of course then in there I've got a USB-C to USB-C lead, a little short one, so he can obviously connect his iPad to it and charge. We'll come back to this connector in a minute. I'll show you soon. The other thing in that top left hand corner then was obviously the AC connector. Now originally I did make a bit of a faux pas there, and I just did the cutout for the back portion of the connector. So of course then when I put it in, it was obviously then sitting proud on the deck by about 3, actually no, tell a lie, I think it's 5 mil height on that, which of course then interfered with the upper lid deck. So I was like, oh bum, what do? Do I remove the lid build and obviously cut the recess lip around the outside then, so that sank back an extra 3 mil into it, and I would have had to 3D printed some more supports because there's 4 supports in the corners. In the end I thought, no, tell you what, I'm going to do it properly. So I took everything off the back of this, all the chargers, all the wires, mounted this back up on the CNC, and then obviously CNC routed out the recess for the entire AC socket. So then that's a C20 actually, so it's a C20. It's obviously cope with the current draw, because obviously it's got a 48 volt 2K 2000 watt L-Tech power supply in this one for 50 volts to the charger. Perfect, lots of power. So that's now recessed, and that looks really nice and smart. I'm really pleased with that. So now that doesn't interfere with the lid. Well, hey, we win-win for that one. So usual grills there with the radial fans underneath. Can't really see them, but they work there, and obviously one on either side again as normal. So air slots across the front, air is drawn in past the charger as well if need be, or around the charger, and then obviously out through the sides on both sides, and then out the case. So that's going to keep it nice and cool. So we've got channel 1 output here. So again, negative, positive, 8S up to 8S balance port, and of course then I've modified that so that can take, you can just about see where I've trimmed it. Where's my finger in shot? There it is. So I've trimmed it, so this is the negative side, and then it obviously goes up. So the plan is I'm going to create a legend to either go here or here and obviously then do the same on the other side as well. So the customer knows this end is the negative and that end is the positive. And I actually orientated the 4mm banana jacks, or test points as they're called, or whatever. So the positive is nearer the positive end and the negative is the far end. So hopefully negative at the far end, that'll be another jog your memory point there. So same on the other side. So yeah, negative on the outside, negative on the outside, positive there, positive there. Method to the madness. Top right hand corner, obviously we've got the cable chain up into the lid. Oh, pulled it out one too far. Cable chain up into the lid to protect the power wires going up there, and that's, in this instance, that's only taking 12 volt power up into the lid for the strip of LED strips, so that's good. So top right hand corner we have two Futaba servo plug, female plug holders there mounted in there, and obviously this is then basically giving us channel 3 of the bump and channel 4 of the bump, so the customer can then connect an external Revolectrix PL charger to it, and also connect it into channels 3 or channel 4 if he's got another 2 channels, and of course then control it from the one bump. Again, that's another place where I need to do a legend. We have then I think these are Anderson power pole connectors. Customer requested this because he's going to potentially run this case from either the mains or 12-24 volts from an external source. So he said, Ian, if I provide you with the plug and the crimped on wires, can you fit it? Yes, I can. So 3D printed holder that holding the moulded plug in from the underside, and that will become a bit more apparent in some of the pictures at the end of the video as normal. So 3D printed, custom designed and 3D printed holder which holds the mating plug in the deck, and again it's flush. And then of course then I've got the opposing cable here with the short wires on the end, so that can just plug in and out. If I can do it with one hand, oh, would I fade it around the right way? Oh, sorry, missing it. So there you go, and that's plugged in. So that'll be then external DC in, however he wants to do it. Give it a wiggle, and out she comes. So that's quite nice. Radial fan again. Channel 2 output, so again, label for that. And then of course then typically the storage. Now this is obviously hiding something, and again that's another little decal that I need to create here. There's a wireless charge port slap bang in the middle here. Now obviously I can't show you with my phone on it charging because I'm using my phone to take the video, so but it's there, it's hidden. Obviously I've cut the recess in this lid because I was, again, because there isn't much space when the lid is closed between this surface and the upper deck, I need some form of handle here or something to be able to open and close this, because again on this build I've not used the push catches, the magnetic push catch. I've literally just used magnetic holders, and it works quite well. So again, the 3D printed brackets then act as a storage door stop, if you like, so it's a physical stop, and then within it then I've got a magnet in the middle and a magnet up the other end, so that's what you can hear where it pulls it shut. And if I open the lid, sure enough, there you go. So magnet, magnet, magnet. And then of course then I've got the opposing ones then epoxy glued into the lid. So I need to come up with some form of 3D printed little handle grip that's going to go in there, kind of thing, and just provide. I mean, that works quite well. I'm quite pleased with that. If worse comes to worse, I'll leave that as it is, because it's turned out quite nice. You can just slip your finger in there and grab it and pull it up. It's quite nice. Anything you do, if you're not careful, is pinch your finger on the middle bracket there, but you soon get used to that. The other good thing about having the hole open is when the wireless charger activates, because it's detected a phone put up here, where I created another 3D printed bracket to hold the PCB for the wireless charger vertically on the back here, on the back side, if you like, of the acrylic cubbyhole structure, if you like, or opening, not opening, what would you call it? Yeah, it's a cubbyhole. So obviously the structure here then that creates the storage compartment is obviously 5mm laser cut acrylic, laser glue, obviously glued together using acrylic glue. Created a bracket then out with the 3D printer out of PETG, because obviously I needed a little bit of flexibility in it for the PCB of the wireless charger to slide in and mount to. Then that is bolted to the acrylic panel. And the way I've done it, when the phone connects here, and because the acrylic is white, the blue LED to signal that the charger is actually working shines into here, and you actually see the light through this handle. So it's kind of it's worked out quite well, to be fair. More by luck than judgment, because I didn't plan for that. But it's another, with a hole there, it tells you when the charger's working, because also you see the blue glow inside the compartment here, which is quite nice. So in order to do that, again, in the past I've ran a wire obviously from the USB charger that's mounted obviously behind the deck, and in this case I wanted a PD charger. So because the power supply in this unit, obviously in this case, is 48 volts, I've taken a buck converter then, which is taking a 48 volt input, bucking it down to 12 volts in this case to run the two fans, 12 volts out then also then to the LED strip for the logo. Hey, Revolectrix logo again, we like the backlit one. And then of course then I've got another 12 volt out coming into the USB 3 power adapter, if you like. So it takes obviously 12, I think it's up to 24 volts, but I'm feeding it with 12 volts in one end, then obviously then it converts it then as a USB 3 PD output on a standard USB connection plug at the other end. So then of course then I've got then a short USB extension lead from USB plug to micro USB up the other end to go into the wireless charging PCB, which is here. Again, photos at the end of the video should obviously show you a little bit more, make you a little bit more sense of what I've done there. So 12 volt in, 12 volt that, and then 12 volt to here. Now I've then obviously extended the wires from the wireless charger electronic board to the coils, which are obviously then mounted in here, which I've done in the past. I was warned to be a bit careful of it, but having done it once before, I checked it again on this, and I keep the wires as short as possible, and touch wood, it's working really well. It's not affecting the wireless charging ability at all, so I'm pleased. But instead of running a wire then, a physical wire like it did in the past from the main deck area into the hinged lid, I looked for a connector of some description that would easily connect and disconnect as and when you close the lid, and I found one. In this case, magnetic ones. So as you can see, we've got a magnetic male with the pins. So this side's got the little pins, and if I can show it, they're kind of springy. It's very difficult to see, but they're spring loaded on this side. And because I got two channel ones, if you like, or two pole ones, if you want to call it that, so one coil then comes on this side, and then obviously mates with the female part, if you like, on this side. And again, you've got magnets there then to hold these together, but they're obviously accurately aligned with the CNC routed parts, and then obviously the 3D printed bracket here. So coil 1, coil 2, and then it goes up, and then I spent a little bit longer than this time then creating, obviously, the wire covers on this then, so it kind of looks like an upside down elephant or a water tank, to be fair. But we've got the 3D printed part there which obviously holds the wireless coils in place, and then obviously that's bolted in place. And I've got the wire channel under here, and I've created the 3D printed part which is Y-shaped then, which obviously then protects the wires coming up to this part. So of course then as you close the lid, the little magnetic catches and these little spring-loaded catches then make contact and connect the coils. Nice and simple. So of course then, no matter how many times you open and close the door, you ain't got to worry about the wire breaking, which I had in the past, admittedly. On the first time I did this kind of layout, the wire broke, so I had to give a little bit more slack, so it was no longer then pulling it in and out through the actual cutout in the acrylic. It was literally just had a little extra coil in here and was obviously then just flexing backwards and forwards, and obviously that's fixed the issue. So, but with this one, with the magnetics, and I've got a few more actually for future builds, there they are. And they do others, they do more pole, they do versions of these with more poles. So obviously I've got 2 pole, they do 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 and 8 I think. So I think I'm going to order a few more of those from China. So I've got a few different options. But that's obviously nice and simple. So as you open and close the door, it breaks the contact. As you close it again, it makes the contact, and the wireless charger then works under there. So that's pretty much the lower deck. It's obviously all screwed into place now, it's all working. I've got it all plugged in. If I plug my wire in, yep, the AC is on. Takes a few seconds to come. Oh, for God's sake. Oh, sorry, pardon my French if you heard that. That was the wife ringing me then while I'm making a video, which is normal. So anyway, I've just put the power in, and as you can see, the chargers come on. Now the power supplies on these, they have what they call a walk-in period. So they start at, I think, around 44, 45 volts output, and then slowly ramp up to the programmed voltage, and in this case I've programmed it to 49 volts. Can be a little bit quicker, but we've got the slower walk-in, so it takes about a minute, just under a minute, to go from 45 volts up to the set point at 49, which is fine. By the time Paul's obviously got this out, connected it up, connected any leads and what have you, the power supply will be up to its correct voltage, and everything is obviously working. But of course in the interim everything is all up and running anyway, so that's fine. So that's good. Obviously the PD charger then comes on by default, and there's a little button there, and it's just touch sensitive I think. Yep, so you can turn it off or turn it on. It's quite handy actually, that. So anyway, that works. Upper lid, apart from the Revolectrix logo, which we all love the Revolectrix logo, and again that's the backlit one with the laser cut letters and the standoffs behind it to try and create a halo effect. That's obviously the same as the last build with this. The only other difference with this one, we weren't mounting the bump controller up in the lid, but we wanted to create space for the iPad. So I asked the customer for his dimensions because I haven't got it here. I have gone slightly oversized admittedly, hopefully enough maybe to allow if the iPad has a case as well. And obviously then I've gone a bit deeper as well, by 10mm deep, so the iPad will obviously sit within it. Now, and then of course then the charger lead will also come in this area, which is why the cutout here, so I've allowed plenty of room hopefully for that. Now at the moment the customer's not going to leave the iPad in here permanently, but the way I've done it is, if he comes back to me in time and says, Ian, I've upgraded my iPad, my original one, I'm going to mount it directly in the case so it's in there permanently, can we do it? We can. If there isn't quite enough depth still then to miss the bump controller when the lid closes, I can very easily create another spacer, if you like, because obviously that's a 10mm spacer, and that's obviously cut from acrylic, and it's a 4-piece, so it's like a jigsaw. So we've got a piece up this end, which is the U-shaped bit, short length this end, and then 2 long lengths top and bottom. So I can create another set of those, increase the length of the, I think they're M3 screws, yeah, increase the length of the M3 screws to account for another 5 or 10mm depth, and then that panel will just sit further in, and we can create some form of holder then to obviously keep the iPad in place, and then that'll be set in there permanently. That's something we can cover later down the line quite easily. So there's expandability there, which I quite liked. Otherwise, that's about it. We've obviously kept it. It still looks nice. It's, you know, it's still relatively involving, but it's minimal kind of thing. It looks nice and neat. The customer, this is what the customer wanted, with the charge boards then, so he can come off the side of the deck rather than being on the deck. Keeps it nice. Weight, haven't weighed it yet, unfortunately. The customer is going to come pick it up, but I will perhaps try and weigh it, so I'm aware of what sort of weight this is coming out of. But of course, it's, you know, by comparison to the smaller cases, it is no lightweight, but still, it's going to be quite nice. Going to look pretty on his bench while he's charging, either at home or at the field. He should be very happy. Once again, thanks for watching. Take care of yourself, and for all your charging needs, give me a shout. Cheers. Bye.